We are talking Gator Creek, aka the Bayou, a creature feature about killer alligators. And this follows a young woman as she plans to spread the ashes of her passed away brother in the Florida everglades somewhere. And she's joined by a group of friends who decide to take a plane to get to this kind of certain area. Inevitably, this plane crashes into the wetlands. And they are cut off, no, phone reception. But what they don't realise is these alligators in this local area have been affected by some meth kind of manufacturing that has been going on there, which has caused these gators to become particularly kind of aggressive. So this is your meth gator movie without being called that. Inevitably, our group of survivors, our friends, along with some other kind of survivors, have to try and fend off these crazed gators with trying to survive the wetlands. What will happen? You'll have to watch the movie and find out. So let's talk about it. What works in this movie's favour? Now, this I found quite an interesting movie because there are things I think this movie does very well. But there are also some things this movie does surprisingly poorly. But let's start off with the good stuff. All right. Number one, the gators themselves, I think, are very well realised. They do use a mix of, actual footage of alligators mixed in with kind of CGI, and there may well be some kind of practical element to it as well for certain close-ups and stuff. But I have to say, particularly the CGI looks good. This is a fairly well put together movie in regards to VFX. These gators are very well realised, and we see a variety of attacks. And this is not a film where the movie's camera cuts away on these attacks. We see these gators chow down on various people's heads and biting limbs off and things like that in gory detail. So I think the actual VFX here are particularly well realised and looks kind of good. I mean, there's been a lot of these kind of creature features where they've used CGI, alligators or crocodiles or sharks or whatever it might be, where they kind of don't look good. Not the case here. I think it's a lower budget film, but nonetheless, I think for the budget, the effects are surprisingly good. To add to that, I do think the actual filming, the production value, the cinematography is all fairly good. I mean, this is a well-directed movie in regards to its technical elements. You get the idea that these people are kind of cut off. I think the kind of these outdoor location shoots look great. They look very kind of like murky, hot, full of kind of bugs, and obviously the gators themselves, and it's a great sense of isolation, and you do get there's a real sense of panic. I mean, they have no food, obviously it's particularly kind of hot, and obviously you've got these killer gators. I have to say, I think this setup is reasonable. A group of friends spreading ashes of a fallen friend. It's a good excuse getting these people here without kind of getting out partying and things like this. The plane crash is set up relatively well. It's a rickety old plane. The pilot's been drinking. We have this setup here where these gators have been enhanced, so to speak, by this kind of drugs which has been leaked into the kind of the Bayou and has affected these gators, changing their behaviour. We get a big bad gator, Christine, who's like the biggest one. So I gotta say, I think there are some story elements here that are, they're B-movie-ish, but they're kind of quite fun for a kind of creature feature like this. There's a relatively large cast in regards to survivors. Obviously, some are kind of, red shirts, so to speak, but they're going to bite the bullet. But you may be surprised who makes it out and who doesn't. So I thought that was kind of a neat idea. And we do get a change of location. They do find this kind of drug factory that was kind of we see in the prologue, now just kind of disused. So it gives us some internal shots as well. So we do have a sort of change of like kind of location. So it's not all out in the kind of like this marshland or this swamp area. So there's a bit of variety in regards to the cinematography. It's relatively well paced. It's well shot. You know, there's decent kind of like sound effects and things like that. So the technical elements are all here. Acting, okay. This is going to be a little bit of a knife edge, because I'm going to say here, I didn't think the acting was bad. But I think some people will say the acting is bad because of what I'm going to say next. And that is what really doesn't work in this movie. The dialogue. Oh boy, this is some of the most cringe dialogue. It's surprising because there's clearly money, time and effort have been put on to the way this movie is shot, the VFX, the production design. But my God, the writing of this movie is terrible. There's two writers on this movie, neither of which were the directors. It is some of the most trite and basic dialogue I've seen in a modern film. Particularly when this is clearly a lower budget movie, but it's not like a micro budget film. It looks like it's had some reasonable resources behind it. I can't understand why the dialogue is so bad. So when I say the dialogue, what I'm talking about is the way these characters are interacting, what they're saying to one another. It's just ridiculous. Add to that the way these characters are written, as in their sort of character profiles. I mean, it's just real basic stuff. I mean, of course, our main protagonist, she just happens to know all about gators and stuff, and she's studying them at uni. And of course, she's the sort of like the studious kind of good girl with the glasses and things like that. We get the kind of the loudmouth bratty one. It's very, very basic stereotypes in regards to some of these characters. And then we have the way these characters are written in regards to what they do on screen. For example, just to give you one of these friends thinks it's a good idea to steal a load of alligator eggs. Even though they know that there's loads of alligators around, and even though when they seem to identify that these alligators seem to be hunting them down. No, we'll just keep these eggs. I mean, I'm not being funny, but Florida, surely alligator eggs can't be that uncommon. I mean, they're pretty widespread. I don't see why the alligator eggs would be so worth stealing. And then this one girl just doesn't give them, you know, she doesn't think, oh my God, maybe they're tracking me, maybe they're scenting the eggs, or they're kind of like, they've got the scent of these eggs and they're kind of hunting us. I'll ditch them. No, don't do that. That's not what she does. I mean, my God, it's just ridiculous. So I think those elements might contribute to the way the acting is portrayed. I don't think the acting itself is actually the problem. I think it's the writing of this movie that is the problem here, because the actual dialogue sequences, the way these characters are written, and the actions that these kind of characters take during the movie are just silly. And there's other things as well, not just the way the characters are written, but some of the situations that happen in the movie are just like, oh my God. For example, we see an alligator somehow dangling from a ceiling. How the hell did it get up there? How the hell did it get up there? And we're talking about like a warehouse. This isn't some like one-story apartment. This is like a werewolf, a good like 30 feet, 40 feet high. How the hell is this alligator dangling from the ceiling? It's just so stupid. It really is. I mean, my God. I mean, the movie is entertaining. And I think the technical elements, the production design, the direction is fair. But my God, these writers should never work again. They really shouldn't. I mean, maybe the idea here was to make this a goofy movie. like a silly Sharknado-y style film, but that doesn't seem to be the intention here. It just is like, it seems to be taking the subject relatively serious. You feel tension, there's stakes, you know, and it's well put together, but it's just a shame the script is so bad. As such, I have to be honest, the movie, I can't honestly say it is a good film, because it's just so ridiculous in regards to such a poor script and character work. Not that I blame the actors, I'll emphasise that. But it's a watchable film and it's an enjoyable film if you like pure schlock. I'll give it a 5 out of 10. Have you seen it? What did you think of it? Leave me a comment and I'll look forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now.